Man,
Oh
it's right
no,
off.
hell no.
They don't want to work and shit. Like,
No.
'cause
Exactly.
otherwise the
Right.
shit would already still be here and shit. You
Right.
know.
Exactly.
What's up, Brass?
We ain't got
Yeah, I
people that
mean
we ain't got
that's
people
the
that
thing.
want to build no more. Like we ain't got
Yeah,
people that want to
these niggas,
change infrastructures no more.
yeah, they
Bro,
don't
they
want to
not
do
they
none of
they
that shit.
they not finna do it because where they're doing it at is cheaper. Why am I gonna pay
Exactly.
you? Why am I gonna pay you all this money when I could pay little Tijuana Tabanu overseas for like $3-4? I ain't
Exactly.
gotta pay you that much. See, people
Exactly.
don't understand business. Like they're like, oh, Trump is a business dude. Trump failed at every business he's done. He's not a smart business person. The reason Trump still has money and is relevant is because he's a celebrity. That's
Yep.
Yep.
why. Has
Yep.
nothing to do with business. He is a celebrity. A lot of these celebrities that y'all look up to, not saying in the chat, but out here in the world, they broke, dog. They're living
Yep.
off credit. And soon as they F up with they maker, nigga, all that come right back to them.
Oh,
Basically,
That's why.
because if they
please
can't pay,
believe.
if they can't put you in jail, then they're gonna try to kill you
Hey, but
Yeah, unalive you,
on the
yeah.
Trump,
lobby.
Trump getting all of his right now, dog. This nigga is
Oh
e-
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
every penny that he spent fighting all them legal cases over the last 4 years, he getting all that shit back right
Yep.
now, dog.
That.
This
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yep.
nigga
yeah.
going,
Facts.
this nigga going overseas getting jets and shit, dog. This nigga is
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
balling, nigga.
Yep.
Absolutely,
Balling.
but you see what Trump did. Trump knew years ago, bro, how the system worked.
Yeah,
He knew
yeah,
how to shortcut behind the system, bro, because he
yeah.
wasn't silly. He wasn't a silly business person, bro. Like the thing
He
was,
was. But you know, he's the type of he's the type of dude, like, you surround yourself with smart people and shit, you know what I'm saying? And he just knows how to manipulate marketing and shit.
yeah, he
You
do.
know what I'm
And
saying?
the one thing about like most of us, like walking around, I'm not saying definitely not none of us up here, but most of us in the world, bro, like we've lost our identity. But the thing is, our oppressors haven't lost our identity. They know. They understand what they took 400 or 500 years ago,
But
and
man,
and one of the biggest continents in the world, bro. Because I guarantee you, if we were still there, we would have everything that Wakanda say we supposed to have.
well, bro, I know so many people, dog, that could just give less than a shit about any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like,
Yeah, of course they would.
man,
Yeah,
people so engrossed in their lives and shit, they don't care about what Trump or anybody else be talking about and shit. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And that's
Yep.
kind of a problem. That's why these people can get away with what they can get, because nigga, they keep everybody distracted and shit.
yep.
You know what
They
I'm
keep out.
saying?
They like it's what they said. 200 families control what 800 billion people.
Yeah, 1% of the population, less than 1% of the population controls 99% of the population, bro.
Yeah, like what
That's
a
just
hundred, a
what it
hundred,
is and
a
shit.
hundred major families, bro, control 800 billion people. That's
Yeah.
crazy to me. They control what you watch. They control your news. They control what come in your mail. They control what cars you get. They control what jobs you get. They control all of that. They sit all the way at the top of a hierarchy. They sit higher than presidents, higher than the Pope, higher than all of them. They sit higher than all of them, bro. Like because everything in their mind for over the last 500 plus years, how they families work and how tradition works, is all about control.
Yep.
That's always what it's been about. If they can't control anything, then they don't got no real major resources coming in.
Well, that's
They
the whole thing about it, though. See, that's what, see, the families come and go and shit. You know what I'm saying? What control shit is industry and shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, see, the people who, the families that have been, kind of running things, they're all involved in oil, shit like that, natural, like you said, resources and shit. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the families that own, like, uh like they're part of the whole like the whole military industrial complex and shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's really them niggas. They keep this shit going round and round. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Because
I had to
war
really
is
come to the
profitable.
realization of it, bro. Because why did they go to Egypt and chop the noses off them pharaohs in them tombs and all everything that was created long before them?
Well, Alexander the Great is the one who shot the nose off the Sphinx and shit.
Yeah,
Right.
And there is many reasons, but you know what I'm saying. It was mostly out of jail, and it wasn't even that. What they did is they went into Egypt and they pillaged it. Like those
hmm
pyramids that people see, like the Sphinx and all of that shit. The
Sphinx and
monuments
the
there,
pharaohs and
th-
everything. Yeah,
they were covered in gold, and it was like because nigga they had gold like it was nothing and shit. So all of
yeah,
that shit was covered in gold and jewels. You know what I'm saying? Like the
yeah.
shit was laced. And they came in there, nigga. They done pillaged Egypt and Africa so much over there, over
They
the
sure did.
centuries.
They sure did. They done pillaged it to the point where the animals basically run Africa, man, and that's been that way. Like bro, like the animal,
Cool
like
Matata,
yeah,
nigga.
like listen, if you ain't Pumbaa or Simba, bro, like you ain't got no business in Africa. Like it's people
uh,
that still tell me they from Africa. I met a couple of people, man, they was from Kenya and whatever, a couple of countries, man. I'm surprised. A little bit Americanized, but they definitely from there, from Lagos, Nigeria and all of that, bro. Like, man, listen. I tell you right now, it's a lot of distractions going on, bro. Like you done said, it's a lot of things that's gonna keep most of us in line and keep most of us on this path to where you're gonna be, buying and selling all the wrong things. You're gonna buy the wrong thing for it's gonna cost twice as much, and then you're gonna find out later it costs a little less, and then you're gonna sell. You're gonna sell yourself. You know what I'm saying? Well, most of us, but like a lot of us out here don't sell ourselves. We sell ourselves to everything that's going on in the world because there's no vision of what we should be doing. It's a
and
vision
niggas,
of that
niggas
what
just
they want us to do.
niggas just trying to make it and shit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That's the bottom line of it. That's what America is. A bunch of people kind of trying to make it,
trying to
but
make
you
it.
know what I'm saying? Like they don't even understand like the guardrails that's in front of them because of what's going on that they can't see and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And like
and
I
the
always say,
more and
like
more.
see what it is like see like I was saying, like it's 1% of the population that controls 99%. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? And that it's like basically the same with the wealth and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like 1% of the population of the country controls 99% of the country's wealth. And then 99% share 1% of the country's wealth and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's insane. You know what I'm
This is
saying?
very insane.
And so like at the end of the day, we all really eating out the same pot and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, they talking about like the new tax cuts that's about to come out and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they keep running the same game on niggas. Like, yeah, like nigga, we give tax cuts to the riches so these motherfuckers can come down and spend money with y'all niggas. But that's not how it goes. You know what I'm saying? They don't come like nigga, you got bread, you don't come down and eat with the community and shit like that. These niggas is buying boats, expensive cars, shit, shit that's not has nothing to do with any kind of regular community shit. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, shit, we all gotta eat together. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole messed up part about it. You know what I'm saying? Cause
Right.
we all eating off the same money and shit.
Want the same money, yeah,
The same money, man.
and the thing is, this is why I watch certain stuff, but everybody want to know why I watch so much sci-fi shit, and I'm all into MCU universe and Star Wars and all that shit. That shit remind you of everything that's going on, but just in its own plot in its own way. like in Star Wars, what do they call the Republic and the what's they call it, the Getty Stars and all that, like those like those that's the 1% in that world. Everybody that's on the ground, bro. Those the 99% that you was
Yeah, well,
talking about.
that's what you know what I'm saying. When George Lucas made Star Wars, it was really about, you know, a tyrannical government and shit. You know what I'm saying? The empire. That's the
Yeah,
basis of the
the
shit. You
empire.
know
Yeah,
what
the
I'm
empire is basically the 1%.
saying?
And
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Everything else is basically 99. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I watch it. And when you get more and more in depth to it, you realize, you know, that what's going on, and you realize there's something going on, but you just don't know the exact plot because most of us don't know how to infiltrate. Most of us don't know how to counter react and everything that's going on. But like I guarantee you, we had chances to do it. Obviously, man. HG was talking about it, yo, when we was trying to come up, bro. Like they use their resources to chop us down. You know, like HD done talked about it many times. Anytime we tried to come up and do our own thing, bro. Like the problem is we tried to do our own thing in America. We ain't doing our own thing nowhere else, man. Like, man, could you imagine if all of us gang together and all put our money? We got to go back to Africa, and then if we go back to Africa, now we got to fight with the animals that run Africa. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like the lions and the tigers and the bears and everything that's out there. That basically, you know, like you said earlier, they basically flooded Africa out, and all of them Jews in Egypt and everything. You know, everything that was basically a part of our ancestral ancestry, and you know, covered it up and chopped off the faces of the sphinx and the pharaohs, and then told you that's what it was. That's why I'm starting to believe in it more. Yo, we like a lot of us lost our identity, but our oppressors haven't lost our identity. They're holding it. They got that shit in a vault.
Well, they got their hands in Africa right now. Well, not just, I shouldn't say just they, but like, nigga, in certain parts of Africa, like you can see, like, people like, nigga, Russia, China, and then you see recently America and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to take their chunk out of Africa again. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? They going right back in there. You know what I'm saying? And they making deals, and it's being divided between Russia, China, and America. Just threw their hat in the ring, like Trump just threw his hat in the ring like a couple weeks ago or a week ago. And shit. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And so it's people, they're investing in Africa now and shit. So, nigga, y'all niggas, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of ground floor because, I mean, dog, they've plundered Africa so much. You
Yeah,
know
they
what I'm saying,
definitely
over
did.
the centuries and shit. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
in order
They
to
ready
rule,
to they
They
ready
in
they
to
order
plun
to
they've
rule,
been
build it back
plundering
up
that shit
again.
for over 500 years.
Yeah, well,
in order to rule like they have to have Africa because Africa has more
they
resources.
have all the resources.
They
They
have
have
more
all the
resources. They
resources.
have more resources than any other continent on the planet. I mean,
Yeah,
if you don't control Africa, you have nothing because they get all the materials from certain countries. That's the reason why right now the hottest name in Africa is Ibrahim Traore. Ibrahim Traore is one of those revolutionary Pan Africanist leaders. He took over Burkina Faso and he's hooked up with Mali and Niger.
okay.
And his country, Burkina Faso, is mostly known for gold. And he just nationalized the gold because France had it. That little area right there they call the Sahel, Sahel. That's Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. That area is very gold rich and other minerals. And
Mhm.
Traore, when he took over after the coup, now he's nationalized the gold. Now he's nationalized the because there's a lot of gold mines there. He nationalized it. What that means is he kicked France out of his country, number one, and he canceled the contracts of a lot of European nations or gold traders, and he's nationalized. So now he controls the gold,
and now he is using the money to benefit to benefit his own people. Because the thing is, these colonial powers like France, Belgium, Britain, and Germany, they exploited Africa, but never
Yeah,
did nothing for the people.
but
They take all of
they
it, like
old news.
they
They
take
don't
they
have
take all the stuff out of there, and then the people don't get nothing. Traore
Right.
represents a threat because prior to him, Thomas Sankara was the last one that was an African Pan Africanist who tried to nationalize his resources, and they murdered him. But this dude, Ibrahim Traore, he a soldier. He has no palace. He doesn't live in a palace. He doesn't spend his money on cars and all that shit. He using the money strictly to help his people, and he dresses like a soldier. He don't wear suits. He don't wear ties. He dresses as in his fatigues. Everywhere he go, you see him in his fatigue because he a soldier, and he always carries his sidearm. He always got his pistol on him. There was a plot to kill him and oust him just a month ago or so, and his people are so dedicated and loyal to him that France tried to actually get one of his close associates to turn on him, and the dude that they tried to get to turn on him. He told Traore. Traore told him. He said, "Well, just pretend that you're going along just to see how far this goes up, to see who's responsible for this." He ain't no joke, man. He ain't no
it.
joke, and
I
he's
mean,
inspiring a lot of these other puppet, because there's a lot of puppet regimes in Africa. A lot of
yeah,
these presidents in Africa, they like
that
Europe. They like white women. They like the riches. They like running around in
they
Benzes
like
and
the
Biggles
cars
and
and shit. Yeah,
yeah,
they like the cars and all of that shit. And that see,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like right now, nigga, Russia, China, America, like you see, like Trump just brought over, like see all them old colonizers and shit. Them niggas is dying out and shit. You know, they have no power in Africa no more virtually. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you got like the Soviet, like Russia and shit, they in there because see, America cut them niggas off from getting computer chips and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Did you know
And
that
they can,
Russia is the only European country that did not have a colony in Africa? They the
well,
only ones,
yeah, it
the
was the
only white
Western.
nation that
It,
never
And
colonized
I
Russia.
found that out. I
Africa.
found that out recently. Actually,
Russia didn't
I
really
was surprised
colonize
on that.
anything and shit. Like it was the Western, you know, like you said, like the Germans, the Dutch, the English. Those are the Spaniards, the French.
Yep.
Those are the colonizers and
Portuguese.
shit. Yeah, the Portuguese. Those are the colonizers and shit.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like Russia, they wasn't. They was just trying to survive. They still in the. That's basically they still in the caves and shit over there for
Well, look.
years and shit.
Well,
You know
look.
what I'm saying?
Well,
There's
look. Their number one export is grain
yeah.
and natural gas.
Hmm. Oil.
Russia is probably the richest as far as European countries, as far as resources. That's the
Yeah,
reason why
they
they
got a
didn't.
gang of oil over there out there. Like you
They
said, the
got oil.
natural
Yeah, they
gas and
got
shit.
oil. Like I
See that
said, their
that's what the
biggest
whole Ukraine
export is
US shit.
grain.
That's what the whole Ukraine Russia shit is about. See, like Ukraine, they split off from the Soviet Union back in the who was when the
90s,
whenever the, yeah, in the
the
90s,
90s.
80s, 90s, yeah, when the Soviet Union fell and shit. And Ukraine is like one of the most resource richest areas out there. That's why they were able to separate in the first place, because they can stand on their own because of all the resources they got out there. You know what I'm saying? And Putin wants that shit back. So that's what the whole beef is over right there and shit. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like oil, energy, like that's their biggest thing out there. You
Well,
know what I'm
no,
saying?
no. Let's get it real now. That's Western propaganda. The reason why Ukraine and Russia have a beef is because Ukraine is because NATO is trying to bring Ukraine within its sphere. And if you're familiar with NATO, NATO was formed after World War II,
Right.
and it was created to go against Russia. Okay, so when the Russian Empire, the U.S., when the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, which is what it was after World War II, because they're a communist country, they took over a lot. They had a control over a lot of Eastern Bloc countries, Poland, Georgia, all these, and Ukraine was one of them. But Ukraine was a part of USSR.
Exactly.
That's the reason why they were so powerful in sports, because they had satellite countries within it that were under the USSR banner.
Right. The Soviet Union.
Yugoslavia has been broken up, and now it's Croatia, Serbia,
Hmm.
and you see how powerful they were in basketball, because all they great athletes were under one
Yeah.
banner, which is Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia,
Vladi Divac, Drazen Petrovic.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Dragan
remember that.
Petrovic.
But see,
Yeah,
the
when
the
they
But
when
but
problem
they
but
was,
split up, they
but
split up in like the late '80s. Yeah.
yeah,
but
but
the
to complete, hold on, let me finish real quick about
yeah,
Ukraine. The reason why Russia has beef with Ukraine used to be neutral. They weren't neither pro-American or pro-Russian.
right.
And there's a lot of Russian speaking ethnic groups in Ukraine in the area of Donbass. The reason why Russia has beef with Ukraine, because Ukraine was being courted by NATO. NATO is controlled by the U.S. Now imagine this: what if Russia wanted to have Canada or Mexico as an ally, and have bases in Mexico and Canada? Do you think the U.S. would like that?
No,
Hell no.
what you're saying is right. But see, this the whole thing is, if Ukraine joins NATO, then then Russia can't do what they do and reclaim you.
No, Russia don't want the
You
United
know what I'm
States.
saying? So,
Russia doesn't want United States to have bases on their
well, no,
border. Russia's right on their border.
well, but see that they wouldn't build bases. With like I said,
Oh
it's
yeah, they
about
would. Every
it's
NATO
about
country.
because
No, check it.
Putin
No, check it.
Putin has slowly
Every NATO country has a U.S. base on it. Check it.
no, I get that, but what I'm saying is that the reason for that is because he's trying to reclaim all of that territory over there.
No, he's not.
You know, yeah,
No,
he
he's
is.
not.
He's been doing it. That's
I
what he's
mean,
been doing.
No, yeah,
but
because of
if
U.S. threat. Because the threat for them to join NATO. That's the only reason why.
but if everything that you said about every nation that having a U.S. base, the deal with Russia, well, at least when I was overseas, they told it like they told us not to take the train that's going in the direction of Russia, because you need three different passports as an American citizen to get into Russia. You need passport from the embassy. You, of course, you need your American passport, and you need a Russian passport to get up in there. So like at least this was back in 2019 when I went overseas. But like so I like I didn't really understand it at first, and then I started looking a little more and more into it. But you're definitely right about like the basis that's being on in every nation. You know what I'm saying? So, cause the what like I like the deal with Russia, that like everything that we trying to put our name on outside of that area, bro. Like they are not having it. They not having it at all.
Yeah,
So Russia,
but like if Ukraine, like you said, Ukraine used to be neutral and shit. You know what I'm saying? If they sided if they sided with NATO and shit, you know what I'm saying? And when Russia wants to reclaim all of the Soviet Union again and shit, you know
That's
what
a
I'm saying?
lie.
If they do that, that's a world war and shit. You know what
That's a
I'm saying?
lie.
Because
There's no
no,
way in hell Putin.
NATO will have to defend. That's part of being part of NATO and shit.
Yeah, but that's a lie, though, bro. That's a Western propaganda lie. Putin is not trying to rebuild USSR, bro. It's too much of a headache.
Shit,
It's too much of a
shit.
headache. Why? Why would he you, bro?
Because he's
That's
one of those.
Western. Bro, we got to stop this, man. That's Western propaganda. That's a lie to justify to make the U.S. citizens get behind them using Ukraine as a proxy war to weaken Russia. The reason why the United States
Russia's
don't,
already weak. That's the why they're trying to reclaim everything. You know
they're
what I'm
not,
saying?
no, they're not weak. That's what I'm telling you. If they were weak, then they would have collapsed under the sanctions that the U.S.
If
put on them. They're not.
if
They're
they
not.
were weak, if
They're
they
not
weren't
weak.
weak,
They're not
they
weak.
would have
They
been beat
still a
Ukraine.
superpower. They still a nuclear superpower. What are you talking about? They're not weak. They're a nuclear
Man, bro, they
superpower.
so dog. Russia has been sold out. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're struggling so much and fighting you little ass Ukraine and shit. You know what I'm
Bro,
saying?
they are
They
not
don't have
trying to
that kind of
reform the
power.
USSR. They had too many
They
headaches
try
trying to keep.
they're trying
That's
to
the
get
reason.
they're trying to get their the most resource filled parts of the USSR back. Yeah, they definitely want that. You know what I'm saying? Because
USSR has their own resource. What I just said, Ukraine ain't got nothing
you,
nothing to make Russia any more than what they are. It's a strategic area. It has nothing to do with no resources. Within Russia's
bro,
borders itself,
they got dog. It's like pipelines that they're trying to build
they
through
already
the
have
whole shit.
one, bro. They
Yeah, but
already have one.
not through that area, not through the area
Yes,
he
they
wants.
do.
No, they don't.
Oh
That's
my
what the war
God.
is all about. It's about control of that region because he wants the resources from that region. That's what it's all about.
Russia already has resources, bro. They don't need Ukraine for that. Ukraine is nothing but a tiny little country. They just don't want the United States on their borders under NATO because after the Cold War ended, there was an agreement that they wouldn't expand NATO past Germany, and they lied. They took Poland, they absorbed somebody else. They
Yeah,
absorbed in the
Poland was
east.
part of the original agreement and shit. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Was supposed to be the borderline and shit.
Poland
You know what I'm saying?
used to be a communist country until the fall of communism or the fall of the USSR in the 90s. That's the reason why Yugoslavia broke up is because of the fall of the
Right.
USSR. Yugoslavia was a communist country. What I'm
Yeah.
telling you is Russia does not need Ukraine for no resources. They already got natural gas and grain. They're the largest grain exporters. They ain't growing that grain in Ukraine. They're not getting that natural
Yeah, but
gas from
dog, you
Ukraine.
talking about
Their natural gas comes from within their borders of Russia. They built the pipeline from Russia to Germany to other nations in Europe. That's the biggest export Russia had was natural gas. If you cut off the natural gas from Russia, Europe is done. And that's the reason why during the sanctions, the only thing they didn't stop was that natural gas coming from Russia going into Europe. That's their natural resources. And like I said, they're the largest grain exports in the world, bro.
but grain is not the
In the
same.
world.
Grain is not the same as energy. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Ukraine has. You know what I'm saying?
They don't have
That's what
nothing that Russia can't live without. Trust me. The only thing they don't want to live with is the United States being up on their borders, bro. This is like the battle of mob families. What they take, like in New York, you got Queens, you got Brooklyn, and the other one got Bronx, and they got Manhattan.
yeah. No,
But
I get it.
but but
I get it.
but 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 they don't want to expand past that because it's just too much territory. I don't want all five boroughs. I'm cool with Queens and I'm cool with Brooklyn.
Yeah, but
That's what Russia is
but
saying.
he comes from the whole train the whole school of where them niggas was all together and shit. And like I said, you know what I'm saying? Like I think you're undervaluing the value of Ukraine because otherwise, nigga, they've got more bases around there and shit. You know what I'm saying? But them niggas have energy. You know what I'm saying? They have oil in there that nigga the Putin wants to control and shit.
You've been
You know what
listening to too
I'm saying?
much CNN, bro.
I don't get that from CNN.
Where'd you get it from?
I
Where'd you
don't
get
get
it
that
from?
from CNN.
Where'd you get it from?
Shit, nigga, that's what everybody talking about.
That's because everybody listen to CNN.
Not everybody don't listen to CNN. I don't listen to
Yeah, I
CNN.
don't listen to CNN,
I mean,
but too
I
many
shouldn't
of
say
us
that,
do.
but I don't get my information only from CNN and shit. You know what I'm saying? I listen,
You got
get my information from a
MSNBC,
variety.
you got MSNBC, you got CNN, you got Fox News. There are other outlets, and they all say the same shit. That Putin is trying to rebuild USSR, which is a bald-faced lie. He even said he wasn't. He said, "I'm not trying to reform the USA. I don't want the USA on my borders." And that's where they would be if they take if NATO expands to
I mean,
Ukraine.
I guess that's just how you want to look at it. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
it is, bro.
Because
There have
because
been, bro.
that's dog.
It's
Like
been
that's what
reported by the
he's
U.S. It's been
slowly been
reported. It's been
he's
reported.
slowly been doing he's slowly been doing that shit since he
No, he
got
ain't
in
been
power,
like
bro.
how.
The
Okay,
nigga, the
other
nigga,
than
the
Ukraine, what
nigga,
is he taking over?
the nigga started off elected and shit. You know what I'm saying? Now the nigga just sits at the
Other
top. He
than
running this shit
Ukraine,
like
what does
how he want to
USS
run his
have?
shit.
What does
You
Russia
know what
have
I'm saying?
other than this alleged takeover of Ukraine? What else has he done? If he plans to expand
Well,
the you
the shit
expand
he did during the Olympics, before all the Ukraine shit, Georgia. You
they're
know what I'm saying?
independent,
That's another resource rich area over there.
but
You know
they're
what I'm saying?
independent.
That's
They're
like
not under
right
Russian
next to
control. They're not under Russian control. They're independent.
they didn't Russia invade Georgia?
No,
Yes, he did, bro. That was during the Olympics. He did that shit during the Olympics. He
because
took
they were
control.
about to join NATO. But they struck a deal, and Georgia said we ain't accepting NATO. That's what I'm saying. NATO is trying to expand to Russia's borders. That's why he had and it really wasn't the war it was about to be, and Georgia backed off because Georgia know they ain't got nothing coming with Russia.
Yeah, it wasn't no kind of nothing. It was just an invasion and shit. That's what I'm saying. You saying it was an agreement and Russia just invaded
No,
them
I didn't say there was agreement before. I said there was an agreement after because they know they ain't going. Bro, Georgia is tiny.
Exactly. So that's not an
Georgia ain't got
agreement.
nothing for
Them
no
niggas
Russia.
went in there. Them niggas went in there and he took control of that area.
Before, no, it wasn't that they was about to. But I'm telling you, Georgia
Bro,
backed
they
down
marched in there with the tanks and everything all the way
because
to the
NATO,
capital of that
though
bitch.
that was NATO. NATO wanted to absorb Georgia in their sphere, and Russia wasn't having it. And they made it. They struck a deal where Georgia backed out of it
They
from NATO. They backed out from NATO and went back to being neutral. Georgia Georgia is not under Russia control, bro. They got up out of
Yeah,
there as soon as
they
they
just
struck a
marched in
deal.
there with tanks and made them niggas.
Of course, because
You
Russia's
know what I'm
powerful. And that's
saying?
the same thing they doing with
Well,
Ukraine.
I'm just
The
saying,
only
bro. Like,
difference
so
is
you could look at it that way and shit.
the
You know,
only
I'm just
difference.
saying.
It is that way. I'm not making this up.
I'm
The
not making
difference
it
is
up either. The nigga went in there. They went in there with the
no,
tanks and
you ain't
everything.
made it up, but the people who told you that made it up. But what I'm saying is
So
that
they did not go in there with tanks.
who Russia?
Yeah. Hello.
My fault. My internet went out for a second.
Oh.
No, they didn't. They went up to their borders with tanks, but they didn't go into Georgia and just invade it. There was no bloodshed. There was not one shot fired
Yeah, because they marched up in there with tanks.
on their border because they were about to join NATO.
They didn't have nothing to defend them. That's what I'm saying, bro. They didn't have
They
nothing
did
to
not
defend.
have the U.S. backing them. That's the reason why Georgia backed down because unlike Ukraine, the
But
U.S. wasn't supplying them with no weapons. But when it came to
they
Ukraine, the USA was supplying them with weapons. Them and Israel and Britain. That's the reason why they put up a fight. But they got snuffed out. And now Ukraine is ruined and a lot of people dead. People
it's
don't know,
fucked up over
understand
there.
that Russia is a world superpower militarily. Only ones that can holler at them as far as equal, as far as military power, is China and the US of A. That's it.
As far
That's
as
it.
nuclear power, as far as nuclear power,
What other
you
power
know.
do you need, bro?
All right, I give you that. I give you that.
Not to mention the population of the size of their army. The Russian army is huge. The only one that got bigger army than them, like I said, is Russia and China. And China got 1 billion Chinese. So yeah, Other than that, can't nobody holler at Russia. And the reason why the U.S. ain't attacked Russia because they have mutual destruct. They can mutually destroy each other. We got nuclear. We got nukes. China the same way. We got nukes.
Yeah, and both them niggas is all trying to reclaim their area and shit. You know
He
what I'm
ain't trying to
saying?
reclaim nothing.
Shit,
Putin is trying to keep NATO off his borders. That's what he's trying to do. He don't care
man.
about no reforming no USS. That's propaganda, bro. I'm trying to tell you. It was a headache keeping all them little satellite. That's the reason why they were easily broke up because they were doing too much. They don't and these countries that were worse once under their sphere, they're not communists anymore. They're either socialist or democratic. They ain't trying to let Russia back up in there. It'd be too much of a headache for them. Putin ain't trying to get a
I
reform
don't
no
think they're. I don't
USSR.
think they're. I don't think they're trying to reclaim all of the. They can't reclaim all of the U.S. because, like you say, some of that shit is democratic now and shit. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
that's what I'm saying. And that's the
But
reason why
I do
Yugoslavia
think
is a
they want
mess.
to. I do believe they want to reclaim what strategically they lost and shit in terms of resources and shit. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you know what I'm saying? Like if NATO gets on their borders and shit. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna attack Russia because, like you said, you nigga, they got you talking about equal power and shit. So the NATO is not about to go and attack Russia. You know what I'm
Bro,
saying?
NATO is run by the US. If
Yeah,
they
but
go to NATO
is
and the
not
US
gonna attack
and the
Russia.
US is on their border and they attack the US, it's World War III. It's nuclear war, bro.
I understand that, but they're
That's
not
why
about
they
to.
don't want them up on their borders. That's the reason why they don't
So
want
you think
NATO there.
so you think NATO is going to attack Russia?
They don't want the USA on their borders, just like Russia having bases in Mexico and bases in Canada. You think the US want that? No. On why you think there was the Cuban Missile Crisis when Cuba was hooked up with Russia? They
But
were
what I'm
moving their
saying though,
nuclear
bro,
weapons.
but
They
it's
were
not
moving
like.
their nuclear weapons
Listen,
up on the
it's not
border
like
of the
they don't have
U.S.
access to attack Russia, bro. They got
I
countries
didn't say
like
that
you
they
say,
didn't have
Poland.
a attack,
They've
but if they
already got countries all around Russia to attack. It's not about attack. The NATO is not about to attack Russia. The
nah,
U.S.
they don't have,
The
bro.
U.S. is not about to attack Russia.
Not unless they have NATO in there. But it's about influence and it's about control. They don't. It's a threat to their security to have them Ukraine a NATO country. It's a security threat to them because America has a history of doing crooked and underhanded shit. Once
Yeah,
they
we
once
we
they get
know
up
that.
on your borders,
What I'm saying, but what I'm saying is they've already got access to their borders.
no, they don't. No, they don't.
They
No, they
they've got
don't.
they've got bases all around there,
No,
dog,
they
all
don't.
around Russia
No, they
to
don't.
attack Russia
The
from.
U.S. No, they don't.
Yeah,
No,
yes.
they don't. They have
What's
them.
the
They have bases in Europe, but not up on Russia's borders. They can't just get. They just can't up and just get over the border and start attacking. they not. That's the reason why they don't want them in Ukraine.
Russia?
They don't want them
NATO
to
ain't
have
about to
that
do
capability.
because, like you say, and I agree, it's mutual annihilation and shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? These niggas not about to attack nobody. You know what I'm saying? This
But
is
if
why.
they're up on their borders, they have a better chance of militarily defeating Russia because they're close to their borders. They won't have to use nukes. They could sneak over and do their little underhanded shit with their little mercenaries, their little special, their little black ops and stuff like that, like the U.S. has been known to do with countries that they have bases
Okay,
in.
but
That's
I'm
why
saying,
Russia
okay,
does not want them on their border.
so when America wants to do its black ops dirty shit, do they let borders stop them from doing that shit?
Russia.
I'm
Russia.
saying, I'm talking about any nation.
No, because any nation ain't Russia.
Oh, well, but I'm
They don't
saying,
have
bro,
the
if it was like
they
that,
don't have the intelligence apparatus. They don't have the intelligence apparatus nor the kind of power as far as
man, it's satellites, bro. They got
military tech
nah,
that Russia
nah,
does. The only
dog.
ones
Come on, man.
the only ones other than the UK, name one then.
Name one what?
A country that has the capability as far as intelligence and high tech military high tech
Israel,
military.
Israel, the UK, France.
I said
It's like
other than UK. France, hell no. France ain't got shit. France ain't shit.
Israel.
Okay. You talking about Mossad. They have Mossad. Israel's way in the Middle East. They're not up on Russia's borders.
I'm just saying though, you know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, we've got the intelligence. We not tripping on that kind of shit. This is not the Cold War. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yes,
Niggas
it
got
is.
satellites.
Oh,
They
yes,
got
it is.
satellites and all kind of
When
shit
they
now. That
started
shit don't
expanding
matter no
NATO
more.
eastward towards Russia, that brought back up the Cold War, bro.
Nah, ain't no
Because
Cold
Russia's
War no
still a
more, bro.
communist country. Remember that.
Yeah,
And
but
the
it ain't
United
no
States
Cold
hates
War.
communism, and they don't want Russia to take over. For instance, right now, like you said, they've been getting into Africa. They
Mm-hmm.
don't want they want the U.S. up out of Africa. They want
Yeah.
France up out of Africa.
Yeah. Because Russia, yeah, well, you know, like part of that is because the United States cut them off from getting chips and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like computer chips, digital chips and shit. You know what I'm
Russia, I
saying?
mean, the Africa has been cut off from everything. Think about it. All the resources there, yet you have the poorest populations on the planet. Why is that? Because
Oh, they don't
they
control this
keeping
shit.
them poor.
Yeah, they don't
Exactly.
control. They don't control their
Ex-
resources.
exactly. And they keep them poor. The World Bank and the IMF, they got most of them
Hmm.
in debt.
Yep.
And so when you're in debt, you're in control. There's a saying that says debt is slavery.
But see, it's like I say though. You know what I'm saying? Like, see them old colonizers and shit. All them niggas is dying out and shit. That's why Russia's able to come in there so
I
easily.
can't tell. In some of these
China.
African countries, I can't tell
Well, you
because they
see, they
still
getting they getting the like you
no. They
just
get no.
you see a week ago,
France is
huh?
getting up out of there. France is getting kicked up out of there. There ain't nothing about the Congo is still under control, mostly of corporations that represent European nations. Mostly corporations, mining
Uh-huh.
companies,
Uh-huh.
companies that get the coltan, which is an important mineral for making cell phones and computers. That they like and that's in the Congo. That's still under control of Europe. But like I said, Ibrahim Traore and the president of Mali and the president of Nigeria, those are French colonies, like the Ivory Coast. That's a French colony, former French colony. They
Right,
still speak French over there in Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is still under the thumb of France because
right.
because the ones that be trying to overthrow Traore and those other two nations, they use those Ivory Coast sellout niggas. But those are French speaking countries. So they getting them. Guinea is another one. They getting the hell up out of there because the presidents are kicking them out. Like Traore, they following Traore's lead. Traore was the first one. He told France to get out, take all
Uh-huh.
your shit with you, and not,
Uh-huh.
and I'm tearing up the contracts you have with our gold mining companies. So now he's building up his own gold reserves, which is important for an economy.
Yeah,
He's building roads. He's building roads. He's building schools. He's building infrastructure for Burkina Faso.
and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, nigga, they're building infrastructure over in Africa now. Places like Ghana, you know what I'm saying,
Now Ghana's still
Nigeria.
up under the U.S.
Yeah, but
Nigeria,
I'm saying they're
Kenya, and
they're
Nigeria, they
building.
still up under the U.S. They got puppet presidents. They move.
I understand, but
Yeah.
they're building infrastructure there now and shit, like real infrastructure and shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's a lot of investing going on and all over. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you saying, like, nigga, Russia, China, they making deals with these people to get their resources back. You know what I'm saying? At
Well,
a
not
cost.
Nigeria. No, not Nigeria. Not
No, no, not
Nigeria.
not
Ghana. Yeah,
Nigeria, not
yeah.
Nigeria, no, not Nigeria, but whereas because like Russia is like they're I think they're up towards like the Middle East and North Africa and shit. You know what I'm saying?
hmm Yeah.
America is like at the south part of Africa and shit. You know what I'm saying? And
Actually, no. America's in West Africa because Liberia is in West Africa. Liberia it used to be a U.S. colony because after the end of slavery, Abraham Lincoln wanted to send the
want to send
slaves
everybody back to Liberia.
back to Liberia, right?
Right, right.
And and the Negroes refused. They wanted to stay in the
Mhm,
U.S., so they
mhm.
didn't go. So, but yeah, Liberia It's West Africa. It's in the same general area as Ghana, Nigeria, um, Mali, Ivory Coast, places like that. But
I'm just because I just seen how, and I didn't even really get into this, but I just seen how, what I'm saying, this nigga Trump brought all these whites from South Africa back over and shit like they was running scared of some shit. You
that's yeah, that's
know
game.
what I'm
That's game because they're saying that there's some kind of things going on in South Africa where those Boers or those Afrikaners, the races
saying?
who lived under apartheid, who were
Yeah,
living
the apartheid.
they
Elon
they
Musk
were
and them
living
niggas.
fat. They were living fat under apartheid rule because you talk about the 1%, they less than that, but yet
Oh,
own just about all of the land in South Africa.
yep. Yet they the victims and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're playing the victims, and Trump talking about you can come over here and chill. Okay, okay, yeah, you come over here. And I was listening to what's that brother's name? Black Authority. He got a YouTube channel. He was talking. This brother called in asking about that. He said what they gonna find out is that we ain't South Africa. You try that old racist shit in the South, in Louisiana and Texas and Georgia and Alabama, and see what happened to your white ass. I
Nah,
bet you
but they ain't come,
you're gonna be looking for the first flight back to South
man. But
Africa
them
because
niggas,
niggas over here ain't having it.
they ain't fleeted niggas to go live amongst the niggas and shit. We ain't nobody
Yeah.
even gonna see these niggas. You know.
But they come out their little but you know what happens? They come out their little enclave. They live around white folks, but they want to go out to where niggas be and act like, and
Maybe,
flex their muscle.
maybe. Nah, I think this is like Elon Musk peoples and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he the one that spearheaded this dumb shit.
Listen, bro. Listen.
Coming up here waving flags and all that shit, and they welcome you. Okay, yeah, you be okay. These dudes are skinheads in disguise.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Without the shaving in their head, they
Uh,
apartheid. They old world
apartheid.
apartheid white folk. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They, like nigga, the Elon Musk, his people's them niggas is diamond miners and blood diamonders and shit. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Well, Elon in particular to build his Teslas, he need that coltan and those materials they make computers with because that's
Yeah.
that's how he makes his Tesla car.
Cadmium, cadmium. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Cadmium,
makes the
yeah,
chips. You know what I'm saying? That's what helps make the
yeah,
chips.
and
You know, so that's
that's
what Russia
Africa.
want too. All of that shit is all over Africa, bro. They got
Bro,
all kinds, all the
Russia is not trying to exploit. They make deals that are mutually beneficial. They don't go in there with some old okey doke bullshit just to get some shit up out of Africa and leave the people poor. Because number one, Russia is hooked up with Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traore was recently in Russia, and he knows he let people know if you want to deal with me, it's got to be mutually beneficial. Don't come in here taking what we got and then you act like we ain't getting nothing back. Nah, it ain't like that. You gonna pay for what we give you, and you gonna pay handsomely, and you ain't gonna be exploiting us. So they have an understanding. Once you're in a position of strength, and that's another thing that Africans don't realize their position of strength. Because, like I said, if you want control of the world's economy, you have to have control of Africa.
yeah,
And once they lose control of Africa, they lose control. Or once they lose control of the resources in Africa, they have lost control of power in Africa because the power shifts to Africans.
yeah.
And that's the
But that's
thing
the
that
whole
Traore is
thing.
trying to get these. But you got these puppet regimes in Africa who are only concerned about being accepted by Europe. And that's what happened. That's what really happened to Gaddafi because Gaddafi got comfortable. Gaddafi got cut. He tried to make friends with France and the UK by giving up his weapons and the US trying to get diplomatic ties to the US. And look what happened.
They
Hillary
turned the
Clinton and
people
Obama
against them.
Hillary Clinton and Obama went in there and they made up some damn lie that he's
Yeah, they
killing his
turned.
own people and all that
Yeah,
shit. And
they
they
turned the
funded those
people against them.
militias that were Al Qaeda and terrorists and sodomized his ass with a bayonet and killed him publicly.
Yep, they turned the people against them. You
The
know what
people
I'm
weren't
saying?
against him. It was those insurgents, those Wahhabis, Islamist terrorists in his country that were already against it because
Right.
a lot of them Wahhabi Muslims over there are hate niggas. They don't like Africans. Whereas Muammar Gaddafi, his personal bodyguards were black women, highly trained killers.
Mm-hmm.
They were black women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
told Africa that this belongs to you. He tried to create the United States of Africa, and that's why they killed him. He wanted to take. The matter of fact, it was Gaddafi that led the charge to build a satellite for Africa. Because before, if you had to call somebody, and you had to go through Europe first,
Yep.
particularly Britain. You had to
Yep.
go through them first, and they'll connect the call to Africa. Gaddafi, uh, he used his money, and I forgot what other country he used their money. It was two African countries that put their money together to get Africa's own satellite. Now you could directly call Africa. That's
Yep.
Gaddafi. So
Yep.
they need to take him out because he's a threat.
Oh
But
yeah.
the only reason why he was easily ousted was because he trusted them white folks. He tried to get in bed with France and the UK, and that shit backfired on him. Now the brother's dead, and now Libya is a failed state, and they even had open slave markets where they were enslaving black indigenous Africans and by these Wahhabis. Them Wahhabi Muslims are racist as hell.
Mm.
Now Ibrahim Traore is a Muslim, but he ain't no damn Wahhabis.
Right. Right.
And but he has them, but they're in his country.
But Gaddafi
They're in
was a
his
real
country, and that's who we
Gaddafi.
fighting against now. Is the
Gaddafi was
Wahhabis and the Islamists that are in his country now.
yeah. Gaddafi was a real Muslim and shit. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. He wasn't a Wahhabis. I think he was Sunni, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
and he was a Pan Africanist. He loved
Mm-hmm.
Africa, even though he was a light skinned Arab himself. He told black folk this continent belongs to you, and you should not be poor in it. But yeah, and Clinton and Obama had him killed.
So yeah, man, it's a dirty game. It's a dirty game.
Crazy, man. This it's gang war.
Oh, all day,
International gang war. International gang banging. That's
all
basically what
day,
it is.
all day. Except for you can't tell who was who for real. Ain't nobody wearing no colors and shit.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta watch more than you listen. You gotta
Man,
watch more because I see what you do more than what I hear you say.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, you seen what Gaddafi was doing. You seen what Ibrahim Traore. You see what America's doing. You see what France is doing. You see what Russia's doing. You see what China's doing. It ain't just talk. It's what you have to see. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Israel trying to unalive all of the Palestinians and ethnically cleanse that area.
Oh nigga, they already got that marked and shit. They about to turn that into like a resort land and shit.
Yeah, yeah,
That
we'll
shit is
see.
horrible. That shit is
Yeah, it's
horrible.
horrible. We'll see. We'll see because the world is watching. That veneer of chosen people and God is with that mask has come off, and
Man, but you see,
now people are seeing Israel for who they really are.
yeah, but shit, money talk and bullshit run a marathon. That like nigga, you see, like Trump, he done went through the whole Middle East and shit. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make a little alliances over there for they move they about to make. You know what I'm saying? They about to get the Palestinians about to get sold out by other Arabs and
Oh,
shit.
they've been
You know
sold
what I'm
out.
saying?
They've been sold out.
Yeah,
That ain't.
well they can't. That's why
They've been
they in
sold
the
out.
predicament. That's why they in the predicament they in now and shit.
Yeah,
Cause yeah, they've
yeah,
been sold out.
yeah. They've been sold
Yeah,
out. Particularly Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and the
but
UA
Jordan for sure.
and the UAE, the United Arab Emirates.
Well, you know what I'm saying. That's where a lot of them were supposed to go to Jordan and shit. You know what I'm saying. Jordan was like, nah.
Well, they have refugee camps there. They have refugee camps. Man, them Palestinians ain't trying to get removed from their own land.
Nah, that's fucked up. That's fucked up, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna come to my house and talk about you gotta go after I pay for this shit. You crazy as hell. You got to bulldoze this shit. Had to go through me. Man, people would rather die than get kicked off their land, man.
I mean, they ain't got a choice, you know, because they just bomb the shit out wherever they at. You know what I'm saying? Like
They're bombing refugee camps. They even
they
bombing
just
refugee camps. They lied to them and say there's safe haven in refugee camps
and they
here and
bomb
there.
them.
And once they go there and flee, they get bombed.
That's
So
what I'm saying. That's what
this
I'm
is a
saying. Everywhere they
genocide. This
go,
is a genocidal campaign. I'm telling you, bro. This is gonna getting real tense. I'm telling you,
oh,
Israel think Israel think they getting away with this shit. Bro. All I gotta say is wait and see because like I said, the whole world is watching. This is the first time a genocide, a real live genocide in the history of Western civilization, a real live genocide is being televised or being documented on social media.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Who's
We
gonna
gonna
go
see.
in? No, I'm just saying though. Who's gonna go in there and stop Israel from doing what they
And
doing?
it
It's
ain't
not
got
gonna
it
be.
ain't got it ain't got to be well. Look, direct military intervention that's not gonna work. But if you cut off the diplomatic stuff with them, if you cut off their fund, because Israel can't survive without aid. Their aid comes from America, and
Yeah,
once you start
but
threatening America's money and whatnot, and they money, people looking at America. America does not want to be isolated. The Israel does not want to be isolated. Once you isolated and people cutting you off, now now you have a big problem.
is that what America's gonna do? Nigga, they spend nah we they too tied into the American economy and shit, dog, for America to cut them off.
Well, they get America is the biggest aider of Israel in the world, like the
Yeah, and
four
Israel
billion
is what
dollars a year.
they're one of the biggest donors to our politics out there and shit.
Exactly. They
You
have
know what I'm
APAC.
saying?
They have APAC in the U.S., which is the lobbying, which is a Jewish lobby in the
Yep.
United States, and they run the government. You exactly right.
Yeah.
But again, the reason why they've survived and gotten away with a lot since 1948 was when they first established the Israel state. They had the veneer of people who were landless that went to a land of their own, and they use the Bible or the Torah to justify what they done to the Palestinians. A lot of that stuff was covered up. However, when Israel opened up their archives, and now a new slew of scholars have exposed Israel for who she really is, which is a colonialist project. It's a colony. It's a
I was
colonial
wondering where you
project.
was going. Yeah, because these niggas is nothing but just Eastern Europeans and shit.
Thank
You
you.
know what I'm saying?
Thank you. They're not indigenous to that area. The
No. But
Palestinians are.
not even really the valid Palestinians. The Palestinians are like forever vagabonds and shit. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, Palestine is not even like Palestine is not even really okay, I don't want to say it like that, but you know what I'm saying? Palestine is more of what I would say like it's a political term for them niggas. Like that's a term the West knows them by and shit. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, they are
Palestine used to be under the British mandate. Before that, they were under the Ottoman Empire. That's the reason why
but
a lot of them are Muslim.
the people that were there during World War II, they were like they travelers and shit. You
No,
know what I'm saying?
no, no,
Yeah.
no, no,
Those are not
no,
the
no.
original. Those are not the people that are of that
A
land.
lot of them are not, but a lot of them are. More of them are. A lot of them are not, but more of them are. And that's part of the exposing of the lie Israel's been telling, that there was no people there, that everybody was there were Bedouins or they were just nomads, meaning people who travel around. That was exposed as a lie. That's one of the reasons why they justify killing and confiscating Palestine, or stealing rather, not confiscate, stealing Palestinian land under that lie, telling the people, because you got to remember, propaganda and information and false information is and deceit is how they survive politically, and then that opens the door for them militarily. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
but
a
I'm
lot of
saying
that is
that
propaganda. The history of Palestine is put it this way: the people that were there when those Eastern European Jews started coming in there, what were called Zionists, when the
hmm
Zionist movement started moving into Israel, those people had more claim to the land than they did.
Oh yeah, for sure, because they had been there for at least probably 150, 200 years
Yeah,
before
longer than that.
before they. No, but I don't think it was that long. I
Longer
think
than that.
I don't know. I have to go back and I have to go back and look.
The reason
But
why people say that because a lot of them are Muslims now, but before that, a lot of them were Jews and they converted to Islam and Christianity, because that's the main religion of that area is Islam and Christianity, because Israel is not only killing Muslim Palestine, they killing Christians too, and that's
right,
another thing that they're not telling the public out in the open, is that there's a lot of Christian Palestinians over there that are being killed too. Because remember, the Zionist Jews, they don't like Christians or Muslims, and they
yeah,
vowed to
they
get
don't
them
like
both up
nobody.
out of there.
Yeah, they don't like
But
nobody.
since the world is more concentrated on Muslims, because Muslims are the most hated religious group on the planet, they mainly use them as the face of the enemy. But really, they getting rid of the Christians too, because there are a lot of Gnostic churches in Palestine. See, people don't realize the Muslims and Christians in Palestine got along before Israel got there. But when Israel got there and started kicking those people out, of course they say it was Muslim. They Muslim, but nah, they Christians too. They hate Christians.
Mm.
But over here in the U.S., the more crazy ass Baptist crackers in the South, who they call I forgot what they call them, but they believe that Israel should have that land because it fulfills biblical prophecy. See, these
Right.
people are so stupid. As far as only the real wise of the Israel knows that the Christian right here in the United States, they don't know that they don't like Jews either. But the reason why they wanted the Jews over there is because they said that it would bring back the Messiah. The Messiah would come back once the Jews take over Israel. The Messiah that will herald in the Messiah coming back, and then the Messiah would convert the Jews to Christianity. Or if they don't, they send them to hell. That's what the Christian right here in the United States believe, and that's they call Christian Zionists. That's the
Mm-hmm.
reason why they back Israel and their ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
They
Bible
crazy.
prophecy. Yeah, these people. Yeah, Bible prophecy. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then and that's the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And like you say,
Misreading of the prophecy for
the
real though. That's not what that means. But go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, like the Bible Belt buys into the same
Mm-hmm.
prophecy and shit, more or less. You know what I'm saying? But see,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the Israel, they don't Judah, they don't look at Jesus the same way and shit, and that's the contention in the shit. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But uh, you know what I'm saying? Israel, like the they're trying to make some shit happen that's not even for them. That's the sick shit apart about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because those are not those are not people from the original 12 tribes of Judah and shit. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? It's not them people.
Like I said, it's a colonial project in disguise.
Mm,
It's a
mm.
colonial project, and as a matter of fact, the founders of the Zionist movement aren't even religious practitioners of Judaism. Ben Gurion and um, what's his
Oh,
name?
the whole yeah, the government has nothing to do. The government has nothing to do with Zionism and shit, it's Zionism, not the
Yeah, they're not Torah Jews.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Theodore Herzl.
Yeah. Yeah,
Theodore
thank you.
Herzl, the founder of the Zionist movement, Theodore Herzl, he's atheist. He doesn't even believe in a
Hmm.
God.
These niggas
But
don't
they
even
use,
believe in
but they
God,
use,
bro.
but they use the religion to cover up what they were really doing, which
Yep.
was colonizing that area of the world. Once the Ottoman Empire fell, and it became a British mandate, because that's what it was called. It was Palestine was called. It was a British mandate, which means they took over like being an interim coach of a football team that just fired their coach. You're
Hmm.
an intern. You the interim coach.
Yeah, they weren't
That's
really a
what
state. They didn't get declared as a state.
exactly. They were a British mandate, yeah.
Yeah.
And then during the Balfour Declaration of 1917, which wanted to transfer Jews from Germany to escape the Holocaust to go to this new Zionist project
Hmm.
in the Middle East and Palestine.
Yep.
So a lot of those, but people don't know this. A lot of those German Jews didn't want to leave Germany.
No,
They didn't
no, they
want to
didn't
go
want
to
to leave their
Israel.
home at all.
So
You
you
know
know
what
what
I'm
they
saying?
so you know what the Zionists did? They they delivered them deliberately to Hitler. A lot of people don't not believe it, but now people don't know that they were collaborators among the Jews or Eastern European Jews because they wanted something to drive them into Israel so they could populate Palestine and create that state. So they did a lot of underhanded, crooked stuff behind closed doors with the Germans, with the Third Reich, because the Germans were with it. They were like, "Oh, you mean you can get them up out of our country? Okay, cool."
Hmm.
So they funded Hitler's extermination of the Jews, putting them in concentration camps and stuff like that.
I've heard that before.
And they did that so they could scare and put fear into the Jewish population and
Oh, look.
drive them to up and leave their roots in East and Poland and Hungary
Well, you got to
and
understand this
Russia.
too. A big part of that, they weren't killing rich Jews and shit. They were killing the poor
Poor
Jews.
Jews,
You know
right?
what I'm
The
saying?
rich ones was the one that was collaborating with Hitler.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
dirty, bro. They dirty, bro. And like I said, they did that so they could put fear into those poor Jews, so they get up out of there and go to Israel,
No, they never wanted to
which
take
is
them to
supposed to be.
Israel in the first place. That's the
They
whole
didn't.
thing.
But once they saw that swastikas coming, they got up out of there and
Oh yeah.
they start flooding into Palestine.
And we can't take all of you motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all gotta
Well, they tried
so
to
we
take
can
as many
so
as
we can
they
make
tried to
this
take as
deal with
many
the
as possible,
West.
bro. Bro, they tried to take as many as possible because they had to, because of the populations that were already there had to be removed.
Oh, I get you. I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
see,
Yeah.
and now look what they doing.
But shit.
They doing exactly to the Palestinians what the Germans did to the Jews. So that goes to show that even ideologically and morally, they're brothers with the Nazis. The
Mm,
Nazis were their brothers
mm. Yeah, they
because
doing the same thing to the
yeah,
Palestinians. That shit is
yeah,
horrible.
they committing a genocide in Palestine. After all them years y'all been playing victim, talking about we're the Holocaust this and Holocaust that. Now you committing the Holocaust against the indigenous population of Palestine.
And even this, you know what I'm saying? The nigga Netanyahu is the nigga who armed these niggas in the first place.
Well, actually, the United States and Britain.
Well, he got the shit from them, and then he gave
That's
it
what I'm
to
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
he gave it to what's the name of the group? What's the name of the group?
What
Uh,
group?
the group in Palestine. What's the name?
Oh, you talking about Hamas?
Hamas. They gave the shit. They gave the weapons to Hamas. You know, what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was
in in in
Hamas.
in an agreement and shit. You
No,
know what I'm saying?
Hamas. Yeah, right. He made it. Yeah, and you know the reason why he did that to support him. He kind of behind the channel, back channel, kind of like it's been exposed that he actually helped Hamas. You know why
That's
he
what I'm
did that?
saying. He gave them weapons. He gave
And you
them
know
the
why?
weapons.
You know why? Because they needed justifications to wipe them out.
Yep. And to tie Iran into it too and shit. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Yes. Because Israel wants the US to go to war with Iran and wipe Iran out. But it ain't
Mhm.
gonna be that easy.
We'll see, man. You know what I'm saying? With Trump going over there and them all messing around in all these countries, dog, I just see an alliance forming. And it's like the white side of the Arabs and shit, but they about to start the same mess. The white side of the Arabs versus the brown side of the Arabs and shit. You know what I'm saying?
All I'm saying is, is that if they want
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
I think he cut out.
You said what?
of, of
I think
attacking all of the
Brad.
military bases in
Oh,
the
there we
Middle
go.
East that the U.S. had.
Yeah, you cut out for a minute, Brad.
Oh, my fault. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying if they want it with Iran, they better be careful because Iran has the capabilities of hitting they bases that are in the Middle East. And you know, Iran is also an ally of Russia. So careful,
Yeah. Listen.
careful,
Listen. Yeah.
careful,
Yeah,
careful.
listen.
Uh-huh. Like
It's
that
traps
old
on every
song by
side
Wu
and shit.
Tang. Careful.
But you see, I mean, all this is being carefully orchestrated because it's traps on all sides and shit.
Well, it's a chess game.
It is a chess game, most definitely.
It's a chess game. But the thing is, when you talk about nations that are run by tyrants, that are run by evil tyrants and tyranny, they have a very short shelf life because one of the principles of the universe that nobody can escape is the law of justice. When you have committed injustice, it only will be a matter of time when that sword of justice gets put up to your neck. So they gonna find out. They gonna fuck around and find out. Excuse my language. They gonna mess around and find out. Trust me. They gonna
Man,
mess around and find out. And like I said, Africa's starting to rise. People are now seeing Israel for who they are. The people are starting to rise. The people are starting to rebel against their own governments that support this tyranny and murder. Yeah, I'm telling you, bro, it ain't gonna end well for the West. It ain't gonna end well for them. They think it will because they're all of they nuclear blah 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 and all that they got. Okay, we'll see. We'll see because what's gonna happen when one of these rebellious groups get control of your nuclear arsenal and shut your shit down? Now what? Now what?
yeah, I mean, listen, bro, it's a lot that can happen and shit. You know what I'm
Now
saying?
what? For
This
real?
this we're in the age of truth and shit. You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying?
That's
But
right.
but but it seems like we're being told more lies than ever and shit. So,
Well, it's a
but,
war, bro. We at war. It's a
oh,
war, what
absolutely,
they call a
absolutely.
war of ideas, a war of truth versus falsehood. And truth will always prevail because truth is what actually is. Lies are illusions and delusions. And it don't have it has a short shelf life. That's just the way it is. Now, some people are going to get the truth faster than others. Others going to get it slower than us. Some might not get it at all.
Hmm. And that's the
But
thing
those, but
about
but that's where the separation comes. The separation comes of those who sticking to the lie, and then the separation of those who sticking and learning the truth and sticking with the truth. It's going to be two camps. The ones who follow the lie and ones that follow the truth.
Man, it's
And
never that simple. You know what I'm saying? But I
no,
get you though.
but you have to simplify it in order to know, in order to recognize the complexity. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Because in
yeah.
school in mathematics, what does the teacher say? Break it down to its
The
simplest
simplest
terms.
function. Yeah, simplest function. You know what I'm
There you
saying?
go. So the
But
simplest function is those who know, those who don't know, the haves and the
and the
have-nots.
have-nots.
So that's what it's going to come down to. Now the dynamics and details of the two cans maybe is sophisticated and is complicated, but the more truth you know, the less complicated it is, really, because confusion is caused by lies. Truth makes things clearer and simpler
Yeah,
as
man. But
far as
see, man,
understanding.
as we see, man, people are having a hard time with simple reasoning right now, like outright denying logic and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
but what I'm saying, bro, is more and more people are waking up to the truth. And that's the reason why the US government is cracking down on the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech. People are getting cracked down on. That's the reason why we got to be careful what we say on YouTube. We got to be
yeah,
careful what we say on X. Got to be
yeah,
careful what we say on Instagram and Facebook, because they are eliminating the free speech and people who are getting arrested, like these protesters on these campuses that are protesting the genocide in Israel. They starting to get arrested. You see the immigrants that are over here on green cards or visas who are joining in on the protest. They're being deported. So the freedom, free speech is being attacked. And the reason why free speech is being attacked is because free speech was okay when the people were accepting the lies. But now that people are seeing the truth about America, Israel, and other things that they want to keep hidden, now suddenly freedom of speech is under attack. Now freedom of speech could get you arrested. Now freedom of speech could get you deported. You see what I'm saying?
it's only
So
gotten more aggressive. You know what I'm saying?
they
And see,
aggressive as hell.
but see, here's the thing, though. You know what I'm saying? And this is what troubles me. And this is like, you know what I'm saying, being my biggest problem with everything that's going on right now and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are fundamentally turning their nose against education and shit. And that's just not something that started now and shit. That's something that's been brewing blacks, whites, every culture and shit, you know what I'm saying, is kind of struggling with this shit right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like you see it because nigga, that's how we got Trump in office, because people literally don't understand the simple functions of our society and shit. You know what I'm saying?
The thing is, the people are fed up with crooked politicians, dirty politicians, and so they're doing this back and forth. Where okay, Trump was in office before this time. People, were angry about him, so they brought in Biden and
Right.
Kamala,
And
and
bad
found
at
out that
him.
and found out exactly. Now they find out he ain't no damn good, and he's come out. So now they bring Trump back. So that tells you the state of political affairs in the United States is piss poor,
It's
because
terrible.
now you have nothing but people with their own agendas. You got nothing but crooked politicians in office, from the president on down to congressman, senate. They all know damn good. They're not for the people. They don't do what's good for the people. They do what's good for their constituency, as far as in corporate America, corporate
Exactly.
interest, corporate interests,
So
military
so so
interests.
and that's what I'm saying. See, like there's a element, dog, that's feeding off of all of this divisiveness and shit. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? And so people, they're getting like, see, see the biggest dirty trick of it all. You know what I'm saying? Is you see like why these campaigns are so long and shit now, because they generate hundreds of millions of dollars and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And between the two political parties and shit, it's like billions of dollars and shit.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
So like it's a whole, everything is just a hustle, bro.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They feeding off of this shit, and they feeding off of keeping people dumb and stupid.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
people are falling for that shit. Like that's what I just see the internet at. I just see it as it's a cesspool of nonsense, bro. And it's so easy, you know what I'm saying, for people to get sent down these different rabbit holes and shit.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
When you put money behind crooked politicians, when you put money, who are they getting their money from? And they getting money from corporations that don't care nothing about the people. All they think about is profit. All they're
Exactly.
thinking about is you passing laws that benefit them.
Exactly.
You see what
That's
I'm
what I'm
saying?
saying.
Because
That's what I'm saying.
That's what Congress people are sending out. They lawmakers. They all lawyers. Just about all of them are lawyers,
So
and
but that's
they
what I'm
make
saying.
laws that benefit they make laws that benefit their
They're
donors.
donors. Yeah, they're donors. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We know this, and see
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. It's this element that wants to keep this machine going and shit. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
it's falling
And
apart, bro. I mean,
I
it's
hope
falling
so.
apart.
I hope
It's
so,
falling
man.
apart,
I hope
man.
so.
Oh, just look at it. Look at all the infighting between politicians. What's going on in the White House? They fight. People getting fired. People fighting. You know what I'm saying? People
But
getting
I see
exposed. It's that,
people I see people celebrating the dumbest shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like why the F is people dancing in the street because Biden became president? Why is people dancing in the street because Trump became president? This shit is nuts. You know what I'm
because
saying?
they don't know. They don't know. They don't know. They have no idea of what's going on. Like
Exactly.
Like the Republicans and Democrats, they're the wing of the same bird.
Yeah. Republicrats.
They're the wings. They the wings. Yeah, they the wings of the same bird, and that bird is crooked. You know, the
Man,
Bible talks about an unclean and hateful bird. That's what the U.S. is. They're unclean and hateful ass bird. And the people fall for their tricks, and people fall for their rhetoric and what they talk about, and not
man,
looking what's
people
going on behind the scenes, and not going on
exactly.
what's going on the street.
Man, you know what blew my mind, dog? When I was a younger man and shit, dog, I dated this chick. She was a lawyer and shit. You know what I'm saying? She worked down at the courthouse downtown here and shit. You know what I'm saying? And but dog, like she took me to one of their Christmas parties one time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you got the judges in there, they drunk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They kicking it with, she putting me on everything and shit. Who cool?
Mm-hmm.
Who these niggas supposed to be fighting for a nigga life in the court and shit, but they in
Mm-hmm.
here drinking and partying together and shit like that. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like people
they
don't
all
know.
together when they end up they party
They,
together.
people don't know how blurred these lines are that society has drawn in your
Yeah.
face
Oh
and shit.
yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And I just take that as a microcosm of a lot of shit that goes on.
Hmm.
You know
Well,
what
I
I'm saying?
mean, like I said, most of the senators and congressmen, everybody in office in the U.S. government, they're lawyers,
Yeah,
former prosecutors, lawyers, judges. You know what I mean? It's, man, Lord,
listen,
man, listen. The Bible doesn't speak too well on what they call doctors of law. That's what lawyers are. They're the doctors of the judges. They're the doctors of law,
yeah,
and these some of the most corrupt individuals in the United States and in the world. They corrupt as hell and money talk, bullshit walk.
yeah. Listen, we
For
need
real.
lawyers though for the same reasons.
Yeah, yeah. And
We need lawyers for the same reasons.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
shoot.
yeah.
But hey,
It
but
hit
that's what I'm
different.
saying. These blurred lines and shit, bro. You know
It
what I'm
hit
saying?
different. It hit different, bro. These people. Ain't no damn good, bro. And we as black people know that firsthand. How many
Yeah.
times we've been railroaded by the system.
Oh, that's why nigga, you know what I'm saying? Niggas is looking at these stupid ass crackers like
Right.
like y'all stupid. Y'all put this nigga in office like he one of y'all and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. And they finding
no.
out because he tried to put
Yeah.
them tariffs. He put them tariffs on there, and he don't know. You messing up your own base.
Yeah.
They the ones that's gonna have to pay for it. And his dumb ass had to learn that, and that's why he backing up off of it.
HD said it earlier and shit. These niggas that you know what I'm saying, and shit, we done all said this shit. He is more of these white folks that live off the government than it is of us and shit.
Oh yeah, they're the
You know
biggest
what I'm saying?
population. So
So they cutting all of these niggas funding and shit, and these
in
niggas that
fact, then
voted for them.
they talking about cutting Medicaid and Social
Yeah,
Security.
yeah.
Who's that gonna it's gonna affect us real bad as far as black folks, but it's gonna affect white folks just the same. And
Oh, harder.
yeah, and they ain't gonna like it.
They already don't like it. They
And
done
that's my,
closed social security offices on these niggas, and they are upset. You know what I'm saying? Already. And you know how that's what I'm saying. Like these niggas live off the government way more than black folks and shit. But you know, they always imply that black folks is the one that's gonna be hurting off of this shit. You know what
we
I'm
always
saying?
get hurt the most because we're the most dependent
With
group of people on the U.S. We don't run nothing. We don't manufacture. We're consumers. Black people in America are consumers. We
but
don't build nothing. We don't make nothing. We don't do nothing except go to work, spend money on Cadillacs and box Chevys, and go to the strip club and make it rain and buy hip hop.
more or
That's
less,
all we do.
even still even in that fashion, you know what I'm saying? Our economy is more isolated and shit than just
Yeah,
it ain't like niggas got a big investment in the stock market. If the stock market crash, you feel what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
it's a lot of us in the stock market. I'm not trying to say that, but you know what I'm saying? That wouldn't
Oh
be
yeah,
something that's
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
cripple the
Yeah.
black community, the
I know
stock
exactly,
market and shit. You know
exactly,
what I'm saying?
exactly. We
So
don't, we
so
don't. Yeah, we losing our land. They more less black farming. We don't even feed ourselves. We don't even shelter
well,
ourselves.
that's yeah. Listen, listen,
When you
bro.
when you are when you are people that are totally dependent on somebody else and at their mercy, you in trouble. Especially white Americans, you in trouble.
Listen,
You in
dog,
trouble.
I always used to say, like, I don't really want to even like if the lights go off, like go off. I don't want to be nowhere around them niggas. That's
Yeah,
some real shit.
yeah. I mean, but what I'm saying is that the white, even though there are a lot of poor whites. But like HD said earlier, the people that's running this country are white. The people that own the farmland are white. The people that control the lights are white. The people that control our gas is white. The
Yeah.
people we buy our clothing and our houses and our cars from are all run by white folks. So we paying these bills. We paying our phone bill. We paying our hospital bill. Those are all run by white folks, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. We're in a vulnerable position that if everything get cut off tomorrow and we can't do none of this, we in deep doo doo because we don't run shit. As opposed, there's some white folks. There are some white folks that own their own land, that don't use electricity. They're off the grid. They know how to survive. They know how to maintain in case of an emergency. Black folks as a whole, we don't do none of that. And the thing is that hurts us the most is our disunity. We don't have any unity amongst ourselves. We are the most selfish group of people on earth because everybody believes in the motto, every man for himself. You get yours and I get mine. That's
We got
mind
we
your
got
own
that.
business.
We
Mind your
got that.
own business.
We
That's our
got that.
motto in the black community. And
We got that.
when you disunited like that, you talk about militarily and vulnerable,
We
man.
Shit, we got that shit from the white folks. You know what I'm saying? And like when we was down south, we used to know how to do all of that shit. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Part of
yeah.
the separation is everybody moved up north and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like nigga, I like shit. Even in the 80s and 90s, like yeah, like the 90s too, early 90s and shit. I used to go down south every summer, be with my great grandma. She didn't have churning butter. This woman was like 90 years old, churning butter and shit in a big
Mhm.
ass barrel and shit. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
man.
saying? Them niggas had chickens and all of that shit.
Man, who
You know
you
what I'm
think
saying?
taught white folks how to be
Oh,
farmers?
that's why they brought us over here, because they didn't know what to do with the land.
Thank you. We did everything. We built this country,
Yeah, literally.
picking their cotton, building they plantations, picking their
Grow,
tobacco, picking
growing
they
their food.
hacking their sugar, planting their
Yep,
food.
yep.
You see what I'm saying? Cooking their
Raising
food,
their babies.
cooking their food. Animal husbandry is what they call it, raising their cows and chickens and stuff. Because
Yep,
at one time we were considered livestock because
yeah.
during slavery we were considered livestock.
Real
We weren't
property. Yeah,
considered human beings. We were we
I
were
know.
we were commodities. They
Yep,
sold us on the market like they did cows and chickens and whatnot.
yep,
So we built this.
yep.
We built this at one time. The financial capital of the world, and people don't know this, was Mississippi, the Mississippi Delta. Why? Because that's
Cause
where
the
most of the
slave
cotton
market.
was grown. Cotton was to the world back then what oil is now.
Yep.
If you were a cotton magnate, you were making millions upon and you got a bunch of slaves who picked the cotton for free and you didn't have to pay them, so you get 100% profit on your cotton. Man, no wonder America got rich so quick.
Yeah. And nigga, shit, that's why the South split apart and shit.
Yeah, because
You
the
know what I'm
North,
saying?
the North was jealous or looking at all the money that was made down south. Like God, and then they were talking about seceding.
Yeah. Well, that was the seceding was because the North got jealous of how much money they were making and
Yeah,
shit.
and the
You know
South was
what I'm
like,
saying?
"Shit, we got all these slaves down here. Shit, we don't need you. We don't need
Yeah.
you."
Right.
And they
Yeah.
was like,
Y'all
"What?
trying
You
to
don't
set the
need us?"
rules. Y'all trying to change the rules and shit.
Yeah, nah, nigga, we'll secede and be our own damn country. Y'all be North America, we'll be South America.
Yeah.
The South of the United States, the United States of the South. And the people in Washington was like, "Oh hell no, So there's your Civil War. It
Yep.
wasn't over us because they were trying to free. The reason why they were trying to free slaves because they were trying
Right.
to break the South's economy so they could stick
Exactly.
with the Union. That's
Yeah.
why they did that. It wasn't had to do no. Oh, we love niggas. Nah, nah.
It had nothing to do with that. You know what I'm
Because
saying? And
blacks were fighting on both sides because they were
exactly.
made promises.
Well, yeah, like you know what I'm saying. Like they would catch the black slaves and put them in the army and shit. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
yeah.
But
If you were a slave and the owner, his sons or whatever in the South were joining the Confederate Army,
yeah,
then
well,
they
well,
took
no,
you they
no,
took
I mean
you they
they
took
were
you with them.
literally going and raiding you know what I'm saying, raiding plantations and shit. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? And then
man. Yeah,
adopting the slaves into the like not even giving them a choice and shit.
yeah,
So it wasn't, yeah, like it didn't have nothing to do with that. It was
yeah,
about the economy, the US economy and
yeah,
shit. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And the South was becoming way too powerful. And
Yep.
and at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, they were gonna sink the whole shit anyways, because you know what I'm saying, what they were doing and shit was nigga slavery. The way they were doing it was just wrong and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like nigga, you raising, you know what I'm saying, whole groups of people that can't support them, that you won't allow to support themselves and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that cost is way more than just livestock and shit in terms of living and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like the economics of that shit would have faded away regardless and shit. You know what I'm saying? But especially as like machines came in, you know, like the cotton gin and all of that shit, and the American Revolution and Industrial Revolution and all of that shit. You know what I'm
The
saying?
steam engine, the steam
Yeah,
engine.
yeah, like having that kind of labor just wasn't necessary at the rate that they were doing it. Cause like, you know, they was raising all the kids, you know, you taking care of whole groups of people, and it just wasn't gonna balance out at the end of the day. So, but yeah, like nigga, they had to ward them niggas up off that shit though. Is my point. You know what I'm saying? Even at their own detriment, they still wasn't ready to give up slaves and shit. It was something they had something else in their mind other than making money
Well, it
and shit
really
after
didn't.
a while.
It really didn't. The Civil War really didn't end slavery. It just,
No,
you know, it
it just got
changed.
the South back in line. That's what it
It
did.
it it changed. But then, but even after that, during Reconstruction, then they started. The KKK started coming up and driving people back to to the plantation because uh, when black folks found out that they were free, because you know once the slavery was abolished, it didn't happen right away because remember there wasn't no telephones back then like that. It wasn't no internet,
Hmm.
so the
Right.
word didn't spread quick that you
Hmm.
niggas are free. So
Yep.
even after that, they was still plantation. But once they found out and black folks started building their own cities and building their own realities like Rosewood and Black Wall Street and whatnot. There was a lot of them around, dotted around the United States of our own, having our own towns, having our own banks, having our own, you know, schools and our own bus systems and stuff like that.
Yep.
So they had to crush that during Reconstruction. They used the KKK as a proxy or terrorist. They're a terrorist organization to scare black people back onto the plantation. Then you had
Yep.
sharecropping, where they kept black folks in debt. Like I said, debt is slavery. And
Yep.
then they had prison labor. There's a book called Slavery Under Another Name by Douglas Blackman, a white boy.
Okay.
He did a PBS documentary on it about what they call prisoner leasing, or what they call them. They were doing prisoner leasing, where so for instance, they would pick you up on some petty charge like loitering or some shit, or you a vagabond or something like that.
Mhm.
And they just pick you up off the back roads in the South and put
Uh-huh.
you in prison. And then these corporations started leasing these prisoners to come and work their mines and work the coal mines and work whatever and work them to death a lot of time.
Mhm.
So it was called prisoner leasing, and it was another form of slavery. You
Yep.
see what I'm saying? So
Yep.
slavery didn't end, slavery was changed. It changed form. And when you have a people psychologically enslaved, then
Some
it
people
does.
just didn't leave the plantation and shit. Period.
They went right back to sharecropping. They went back to the plantation. They went back to working for massa. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
But yes, but they just changed it. It wasn't chattel slavery like it used to be. It was what they call sharecropping, where they would whatever they planted, they get a little small percentage of it, but the owner of the plantation would get the majority of the profit and
Yep.
keep you in debt. You had to buy your own equipment, your own plows and all that kind of stuff, ropes and stuff or whatever you was using for working on the farm. You had to buy it from them.
Yep.
And a lot of time black folks didn't have the money to buy that type of equipment. So they would loan the equipment to them and they had to pay. So they were working on these farms and not getting anything as far as money because you were in debt. This money has to go towards you paying off your loan. So that's what they did. So they were in debt, and so they were living basically like they were living during flat out
Slavery.
chattel slavery.
Slavery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because now you ain't getting no money because, and then being illiterate, we couldn't challenge some of the crooked stuff that was going on in the sharecropping system where they would rob black people of their
Or, or,
money.
or, or have an
rob them of their
understanding of
pay.
what the economics of the time were and shit. Because right, there was no education. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
we were illiterate. We didn't know how
yeah,
to count. We didn't know anything about accounting. We didn't know about, handling money. Hell, we wasn't even getting no damn money a lot of times. Because like
yep.
I said, you being in debt, and then when you think you paid off your debt, he come up with something else. So yeah, it wasn't nothing sweet, man.
Nah, not at all, brother.
Wasn't nothing sweet, man.
But
And that's the reason why I tell folks, man, slavery didn't end. Slavery
shit,
didn't
hell
end.
nah, niggas just
As long as they can take advantage of you because you ignorant and you don't know anything, that's slavery.
shit, they took the chains off niggas' wrists and put it in their brains and shit. Put the
Yeah.
chains on their brain and shit.
And
You
listen,
know what
we
I'm
had it on our brains and our wrists and ankles.
saying?
And then when
Man.
they finally freed the shackles off our ankles and wrists, then we were shackled mentally. We were
Man,
shackled mentally.
I was
So
reading it. I'm trying to think of this white bitch name and shit. Susan B. Anthony, I think. No, not Susan B. Anthony and shit. One of the white bitches back in the day died. She wrote a book and shit. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, she was actually. I'm sorry, I can't remember this woman's name and shit. You know what I'm saying? But like if I said her name, you would know who I was talking about. But she
right.
wrote this book and shit. You know what I'm saying? And like one of her quote, and she was one of like the more liberal whites and shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But she was just talking about how nigga the whole goal was to make sure that the African mind saw no light and shit, only darkness and shit.
Yep. 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 There
You
was
know what I'm saying?
something I read where this dude from Virginia was a white boy. He was a part of the Virginia state legislature or something like that. When he said something like that, he said, we have to cut off any avenues or source of light to
Yeah,
the black one slave or something like that.
same
And
shit.
yeah, same thing. So yeah, that was yeah. And that's the reason why today they trying to get rid of free speech, bro, because people are waking up. Because one thing you do when you know how to read, when you know how to discern truth from falsehood, you become informed, and that controls that changes your habits, that changes the way you live, that changes
Mm-hmm.
your outlook on life. When you
Mm-hmm.
have that truth and that light in your head, you start moving different, and that's what they don't want.
Man, but I see him. It's like okay, I see. I hear what you're saying. Of course, you know what I'm saying. But what I see is them manipulating the avenues for people to like. You know what I'm saying? Like you see people being awakened, right?
Hmm.
But what they being awakened to is just more manipulated garbage and shit. You know what I'm saying? And they make people feel like you
Well,
can
the
follow
thing
that
is,
down. And a nigga, somebody who's just awakening, like they catching people like that, where it's like, if you just awakening and shit, you know what I'm saying, then you don't know how to discern what is what in the first place and shit. You get what I'm saying?
it's a chess game.
It is. It is.
It's a war because once you start to wake up to one thing, they'll bring something else to counteract that because they know that you still aren't fully developed as far as knowing what the truth is and knowing what's going on. You may have a little bit of it. You may see it, a little bit of it, but then you don't see enough of it to be able to avoid the next trick that's coming. You see what I'm saying? So
That's what I'm saying. Like you see what I'm saying? It's like, dog, like the avenues, like they understand what the internet is and shit. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And they see that like people you're right. There is an awakening. People there are people that are becoming more aware of what's going on outside of their lives and shit. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Like take for
But
instance, we was talking about Israel earlier. There's people who used to be in the Israeli army, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. They
Mhm.
used to be in. They used to be brainwashed into hating Palestinians in school
Right.
growing up. They hate Muslims, they hate Arabs, and hate Palestinians. But then they wake up. You see what I'm saying? And then
Yep.
they learn the truth, and then they move different now. And now they are the ones who are protesting the genocide and are anti-Zionists. You see what I'm saying? And that's because they woke up to the truth. So, but and then after that, they see their own government for what it is because now they're trying to destroy you. Hell, they over there killing journalists. They over there
Oh
murdering
shit.
journalists, even American journalists. And that's another hypocrisy that's being exposed about the U.S. government. You up here funding a country that's committing genocide and killing your own citizens, but yet
Yeah.
you bringing these crackers over here from South Africa, making them citizens, talking about how important they are. Hell, your own citizens over there in the Middle East trying to cover the massacre going on in Palestine, and Israel is killing them because they don't want the truth to come out. And now, you ain't doing nothing. And nobody in mainstream media, as far as the main outlets like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, the New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, you know what I mean? Main newspapers like that, they're not even challenging President Trump on that. Your own
Nope.
citizens, Israel is killing our citizens who are journalists over here, but yet you ain't saying nothing about it. You letting them get away with it.
No, because and this is where you know what I'm saying. Like, see, when it comes to Israel and shit, it don't matter who's president and shit.
It sure don't.
America is gonna rock lock and step with
Oh, there's
Israel
no
and shit.
question about it. And the
You know what I'm
media
saying?
and the media is going along with it, which means the
Yeah.
media has been compromised.
Well,
Mainstream
shit.
corporate
How
media.
much how much do the Zionists control the media and shit?
Oh yeah,
You know
definitely,
what I'm saying? Like
definitely.
they been like nigga, they so dirty. Like, you know, like shit. They been had all our phones tapped. You know what I'm saying? These niggas be in our emails and shit. This shit, you know, they've had control of our media and our telecom since like the 90s.
And, well, especially after 9/11,
Yeah. Oh shit.
when they start
After nine
spying, when
eleven.
they start spying on Americans.
Yeah, well, what they did, well, they bought up a few of the telephone companies and shit.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. The
And
intelligence they
shit,
took over. Yeah,
everybody's on a mobile device and shit. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And
yeah.
they control a lot of that shit.
Computers, mobile devices. Yeah, even in your car. I don't
Yep,
want no computer in my car.
bro.
That's why I
But
buy
yeah,
old school. That's why I buy old school. Man, your motherfuckers up in my car. You got navigation system all up in your way. You don't
you
know if they
see,
watching it. You don't know if they watching or listening. You looking at the way you move, where you going every day, looking
hey,
at your lifestyle. Man, get out of here.
you see how ill it was when them niggas blew up them niggas cell phones and shit, turned them niggas cell
Yeah,
phones into bombs and
yeah,
shit.
yeah. Man, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's some shit. You on the phone. Next thing you know, half your face is gone.
Dog, dog.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
crazy.
Listen, listen,
Because
listen.
you have been buying phones from these companies and you think everything's sweet. And as soon
Yeah,
as they
you think?
want it, once you dead, they blow your phone up. I was like, oh, that's gangster. I'm telling you, bro, this is international gang banging.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
The
lot
only
of
difference
steps.
is, like in the street, when you in the street, you don't control them. I mean, you can pay
Yeah,
off police here, you can pay off police here and there, but to actually have control over the department and have
yeah. No,
control over
never.
the state, the state troopers, and everybody else, that's a difference. See, in the international gang banging, they have their own police, they have their own intelligence, they have their own. You know what I mean?
Listen, niggas in the streets be riffing over a couple of blocks, nigga. We talk about.
These people ripping over
We
countries
talk
and
about
resources,
resources
nigga.
and shit.
Yeah, yeah. There's levels to this, nigga.
Yeah.
Y'all fighting over corner blocks that don't belong to you. Actually,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't own this for real. And niggas can come and take you right up off them corner blocks and shit. You know
exactly.
what
You a
I'm
corner
saying?
boy. These international dudes are continent boys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
He's a
difference. It's a
continent boy.
difference. It's a difference.
It hit different for real.
Nah,
Blowing up
yeah.
people's phones. Yeah, I remember that. Who was that? Lebanon or something like that? I
I forget who they did it to.
think
They
it was
no, they did it
Lebanon.
to didn't they do it to Iran? Didn't they do it to Iran?
Iran, I think so. Or was it Iran? I know it was one of them over there. I think it was Lebanon. I think it was Lebanon, bro. I think it was
Might have been,
Lebanon.
bro.
I think it
I
was
just now I'm
Lebanon.
like, these niggas got some balls, bro. That audacity, my nigga.
That's crazy. So
Like y'all niggas.
that
Woo.
means they had access to everybody's phone that bought one. I mean, they know where you moving to.
Yeah,
They tracking your movements. They tracking where you
bro.
go.
All of
That's
that shit.
crazy, dog. And they just push a button and blow it up. Boom. You're like, God damn. I was like,
You know,
these motherfuckers is on some next shit.
yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you know how
On
ill
some
you gotta
next
be.
shit.
How ill you gotta be, nigga, to have nigga even if you just had the number to your enemy and shit, you know, niggas got access
Man,
to the
that's
whole phone
crazy.
and shit to
That's
blow that
crazy.
shit up.
Blow that
Yes.
right in your ear. You talking to your moms, and next thing you know, boom.
Boom,
I'm like,
nigga.
God damn, that's crazy. You sitting next to somebody that happened to.
Oh, nigga, right. You're right.
Yeah,
Cause it
like,
ain't
what?
just gonna blow you up. You gonna kill whoever around you and shit. You know
If
what
you
I'm
close
saying?
enough, yeah.
Listen.
Crazy, man.
The audacity that you can just make a nigga phone blow
There's some
up
people
from.
that even think of that stuff, man. That they even think about you. What kind of what kind of mindset even thinks of something like that? I never even thought about doing no shit like that.
Yeah,
You
but
gotta
I
be
mean,
you gotta be a sociopath. You crazy as hell to be thinking of some shit like that, how to kill people like that.
but the ability to be able to do that shit, to blow somebody's phone up from halfway across the world and shit. You
Man,
know what I'm saying? Like
man.
at your will and shit. At
Yeah,
your will. Cause they set
yeah.
all of the bitches off simultaneously
Yep,
and shit.
yep.
Nigga, that's crazy, bro.
It's crazy. That's some shit you see in the movies.
Yeah, that's some old James Bond shit, bro.
Man, that's some
Hey,
old Mission
most
Impossible 3 or some shit.
most side is not playing with niggas, bro.
Man,
They
listen.
about they like that's like when we was talking earlier. You talking about the nigga who got the communications and all of that shit, the spy shit on lock, nigga.
Yeah, man.
Most side be doing their thing, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Hard, nigga,
Mossad,
hard.
CIA,
Yeah,
MI6. Yeah,
you know what
man.
I'm saying? The
People
niggas be doing it hard, bro.
on some other shit. That's like back in the day when they tried to assassinate Fidel Castro with cigars and popping
Oh man,
bottles and all this other sophisticated shit. They were man, they got labs where that's all the niggas study. Ways to kill people
oh yeah, oh yeah.
without
What was
leaving
it?
a trace.
What? Yeah, because they did something to somebody in Cuba like about 10 years ago. What did they make this nigga do? Like they made somebody have a heart attack or something,
Yeah,
dog. Like
man.
wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you drink something, you got somebody making your coffee, making your food. Next thing you know, you don't wake up the next morning. You
Yeah,
understand? And
nigga,
then
nah, just like kill you right on the spot.
and the doctors write it off as natural cause. Oh, he had a heart attack. Oh, he had a stroke. Oh, he just
Hey,
some type of medical complication.
nigga, but they don't be caring. Like nigga, they got the shit now and shit, dog, where they just fly the drone to like wherever you at, nigga, and just blow you.
Yep, blow you up. Yep, 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 yep. Send a
Nigga, some of the
drone. Yep.
bombs that like some of the shit they got, dog, like they got the shit, dog, like nigga, that shit fly
Yeah.
into your car, nigga. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It fly directly
Right.
into your car and just explode, nigga.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like nigga, the
Yep.
shrapnel and shit, dog.
Yeah.
Like nigga, They got all kind of wicked shit, bro.
Yeah, yeah, robots. They got these robots where they don't even have to raid a building. They just send a robot in there and blow that shit up.
Call it a day,
You ain't
bro.
call it a day.
We ain't got time for these
You
niggas.
you you, you talk about drones. You got drones flying, and some nigga looking like he playing video games is controlling
Yep,
drone miles away, like 1,000 miles away.
yep. You know what I'm
And
saying?
he up in there sitting in front of a computer screen, looking like he playing Call of Duty.
The dog, they be having the same layout and shit, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
like,
saying. Nigga got the controller in his hand,
yeah, dog. Listen, dog, doing it from
like he
far,
playing
far
NBA
away.
2K.
From far, far away.
Far away. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah, man. Cause see, they already know, you know what I'm saying? Like cause if it came down to like a straight up army battle and shit, like America would probably get creamed and shit. Like if it was just like army versus army and shit,
Man,
you
listen,
know
that's
what I'm
the
saying?
reason why Israel ain't doing nothing but dropping bombs on Palestine. They're
And
not
that's
fighting
all they
them straight
gonna
up.
do.
They're
Yeah,
not
that's all
fighting
they
them
gonna
straight up.
do. Man, they
Yeah.
never fought them niggas straight up. Not one time.
No, they drop bombs on your ass
Yeah.
and call it a day. But
Nigga.
when them tanks come in, they get caught out there by Hamas or Al Quds or one of them other militias. Man, they come out there, boy. They whoop Israel's ass because they use guerrilla warfare. They even confiscate. Like when they drop bombs, because I saw this the other day on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
where some of the bombs that didn't go off that were dropped on Gaza, the Hamas or some other fighters, they get those bombs and refurbish them and use them
Oh,
against them.
okay.
They take the weapons that, like, some bombs just won't explode. They got duds. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, 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 right.
They said, man, they finding them bombs and refurbish them and using them against them. I was like, man, but they be underestimating how smart some of these Palestinians are, man.
Listen, the smart nigga, I'm not walking up on no dud bomb and shit, bro.
Them motherfuckers do. Them motherfuckers do. And they know
Yeah,
exactly what they doing.
yeah. Listen, bro, it's a whole different kind of beast. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
they ain't afraid of that shit. Hell,
But,
I'm
see, but,
already
but,
dead anyway, so
but,
I'm gonna walk up on this bomb. If I get killed, hey, what's the difference?
but that's you know that's the whole thing though. Like, see, nigga, they like you said, they just drop. They ain't gonna worry about them niggas in tanks. They just gonna drop bombs on them niggas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, in America, they not gonna stop giving them niggas bombs to drop on them niggas. They gonna be right there. You know what I'm saying? Keep
Mm-hmm.
and they not making it. They not, like you said. They not trying to hide the shit. They're like going in there, nigga, and they're turning Gaza into a wasteland and shit. Like
It
literally,
already is. It's destroyed, man.
after they said they was gonna quit bombing, they still bombing them niggas, bro.
Yeah, it ain't lying. There ain't no war. That's a massacre.
Man, yeah,
War
that's
my
right.
ass. There ain't no war. That's
Yeah,
a system of removal. That's what that is.
yep. Listen,
Genocide.
bro.
It ain't got nothing to do with no war. When you talk about war, that means you fighting somebody who equally got as much as you do. Nah, they don't have
Yeah.
nowhere near as
No, I
far as
mean, 'cause
weapons.
they're not
Got
fighting.
F-16 fighters and whatnot. They ain't got
Yeah,
no Hamas ain't got no F-16s and shit.
no, they ain't got
Surface
shit. They
surface
barely
to
got.
air missiles.
Man, listen, dog, they are bombing the they're attacking the civilians.
Civilians,
You know
right.
what I'm
And
saying?
mostly children,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
children.
Right. Mostly children.
All the men are all fighting and shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the women and
It's
children.
survival. It's survival.
Yeah,
They in
yeah,
survival mode for real, real.
yeah. It's going down, bro.
Going down like that. But I gotta get up off of here, man. I gotta get my ass up on a damn
Yeah,
Sunday. I don't know
yeah,
what
man.
HD doing. He probably sleep.
Yeah, you know he sleep, knocked out. Yeah, shit. It's good chopping it up though. You know
Yep,
what I'm
yep. It's
saying?
good talking to you, bro. You know, you brothers
Yeah,
be talking deep. I'll be in
yeah,
here learning something.
yeah.
But all
Chop it
right,
up.
bro.
All right.
I'll holler.
Yep. Peace.
Peace.
Mm, 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 mhm, mhm, mm, 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 mhm, 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 mhm,
Mm, 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 mm,